letter people, come and visit the family. Words are made of letter people, A, B, C, D, follow me.
The letter people. Today, how Mr. G got another sound.
Jumpin' jelly beans. I got some really jolly junk today. I think I'll give this a special place of honor.
And now, the news of the day here in Letter People Land. 3 letter boys have been named finalists in Letter People Land's first annual bake-off. Mr. B hopes to impress the judges with his banana bundt cake, but he'll have tough competition at the bake-off. Mr. P plans to please the crowd with a pickle and pepperoni pizza, while our 3rd finalist, Mr. V, is preparing to bake fresh vanilla vegetables for the gala event. The grand prize winner of the bake-off will receive a 1-hour misguided whirlwind tour high above Letter People Land in Captain Zemo's Zeppelin. On a more tragic note, we've learned that the legendary Genius Jim is missing from Letter People Land's art museum. The people at the museum told us that they did not suspect any foul play.
We do not suspect any foul play.
It seems that the legendary Genius Jim was accidentally thrown in the trash by the janitor as a gesture of goodwill. In the janitor's words, "I didn't know the thing was any good. I thought I was doing everyone a favor by throwing it in the junk pile." In other news today, we've learned that television star Monty Swell may be thinking about getting a new bow tie. That's all the news for now. Stay tuned for more news about the legendary Genius Jim as we find out more details. We return now to music to practice capital and lowercase by.
Mr. J, greetings. Good day to you.
Oh, Mr. G, how's tricks, old buddy? Do you want to see any of this jolly junk I just got today?
Well, sure, it looks interesting.
Good. Well, see here, I've got some old jars, a few old Joey D records, a jingle.
And a few jangles, too.
Yes, all part of my jumbo junkyard.
Gee, what's that thing? I've never seen anything quite like that. What is it, Mr. J?
I don't know what it is.
Golly, where did you get it? It's gorgeous.
Where did I get it? I don't remember. Oh, yes, I do. It was in an old pile of junk behind the art museum. I think it's one of the jazziest things in my collection. Do you really like it?
Indeed I do. It's really something. Do you think it would be okay if I touch it, Mr. J? I'll be very careful with it.
Sure. Go ahead. I'm glad you like it.
News bulletin just in. Letter People Land News has just learned that the missing legendary Genius Jim may be dangerous. According to people at the museum, the Genius Jim will make you disappear if your sound does not go with your name. Persons such as Mr. D have nothing to worry about, however. Mr. D's name, D, goes with his sound, delicious donuts. But we repeat, be on the lookout for the missing Genius Jim. If you touch it and your sound does not go with your name, you'll disappear, and we're not fooling, so watch out. We return now to music to fill your clue boxes by.
Oh, no! Mr. G is gone! Well, there's a brighter side to everything. At least gone starts with the same sound that starts gooey gum.
Hi, Mr. J. How you doing? Gee, your junkyard looks jazzier every day. You've got jolly joke books and a junky jalopy and jelly beans and jawbreakers and the Genius Jam. Well, can't stand around all day. I'd better be off to uphold the law and... Jeepers creepers, Mr. J, you've got the Genius Jam. Careful now, don't touch it. I don't want you to disappear.
Don't worry, Officer Jabberwocky. I won't disappear.
Huh? Why not, Mr. J?
Because my name, J, goes with my sound. Jumbo Junk J. Jumbo Junk. My sound and my name go together. See? Nothing happened.
Gee, you're right, Mr. J. Your sound, jumble junk, and your name, J, go together. Golly gee, I'm sure glad that Mr. G wasn't here to touch it. His name, G, does not go with his sound, gooey gum. G, gooey gum.
Yeah, but...
G, gooey gum.
Yeah.
Mr. G's name does not go with his sound.
I know.
So if Mr. G were here and touched it, then he would...
He did!
Jeepers creepers, Mr. J, are you joking? He did touch it and he disappeared?
That's right, officer. Huh, what are we gonna do?
Gee, I don't know. Maybe we should call a policeman.
Officer Jabberwocky, you are a policeman.
Oh. Well, thank you for reminding me of my duty, Mr. J. As a policeman, I think we should get some help.
Good idea.
You stay here and watch him. Or rather, watch where he was, and I'll try to get some help.
News bulletin just in. You're not going to believe this, but a cure has been discovered for disappearance caused by touching the genius gem when your sound and your name do not go together.
I don't believe it.
I told you. The people at the Art Museum now tell us that this simple formula will help persons who disappeared reappear. Here's all you have to do. Now listen carefully. First, wrap the victim in grape leaves, bake at 350 degrees for an hour, then season to taste.
Season to taste?
I have just been handed another bulletin. You have been reading the wrong directions. You fool. Please stand by. Here we go. I knew I'd find it. First, lend the person who has disappeared the sound he needs that will go with his name. Then use that sound in a word. Find 2 words that begin with the letters borrowed sound, and finally play the catching game. If you do all that, the missing person will reappear. An easy cure for disappearance. And now, back to music for young squishers.
It doesn't sound easy to me.
Don't worry, Mr. J. Officer Jabberwocky and I will help.
Well, the first part's easy enough, Mr. J. Lend the person who has disappeared the sound he needs that will go with his name. Listen. G. G.
Gee.
G. G goes with your sound. Jumbled junk. Listen. G. Jumbled junk. Can you let Mr. G use your sound sometimes?
Well, I don't know. Do you think we could actually use Mr. G in a word making my sound? The same sound that starts jumble junk in his name, G?
I've figured out a way we can help, Mr. J. It'll be just like the time Mr. S agreed to let Mr. C use the Super Sox sound sometimes. Mr. S agreed because Mr. C's name, C, goes with Mr. S's sound, Super Sox. Since Mr. G's name, G, goes with your sound, jumbled junk, you could lend him your sound sometimes.
Sounds fair. Okay, I'll be happy to lend Mr. G my sound. But when can Mr. G borrow my sound?
That's a good question, Junkman.
I've got it. Whenever G stands in front of silent E, he can use your jumbled junk sound.
That sounds fine. I agree. Whenever G stands in front of silent E, he may use my jumbled junk sound. After all, his name G starts with the same sound that starts jumbled junk.
Jeepers, Mr. J, don't forget the cure. We've got to use it in the word.
See this piece of junk, officer?
It's a cage. C goes in the starting clue box, making his cotton candy sound. A in the catching clue box. G in the ending clue box. And silent E outside the ending clue box. That means A will make her long sound.
What sound will G make?
I know, Mr. J. G will make his borrowed sound. When G stands in front of silent E, he makes your jumbled junk sound. Cage.
Jumpin' jukeboxes! G can use my sound in a word.
That's wonderful. We'll have him back soon now. What's the next step in the cure?
I think it was bake it 350 and season to taste.
No!
No, huh? Oh, I remember now. Find 2 words that begin with the letter person's new sound. That's not gonna be so easy.
Jolly Jupiter! I know. What did they call it on the radio, this thing here?
The Genius Gem.
Thanks.
It's all right.
Gem is a word. G stands at the start and makes the same sound as in his name. G. He uses Mr. J's sound.
And genius, a very smart person. Mr. G can use his borrowed sound at the beginning of genius, too.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
How will we know when G is using his gooey gum sound at the start of words or borrowing your jumbled junk sound?
I'll only let him borrow it in front of E and I.
Just like the deal C and S made. C gets to use the super sock sound at the start of words when he's standing next to E or I.
I'll let Mr. G borrow my sound in front of E and I, but only sometimes. People will just have to try it both ways and choose the sound that makes sense. I don't want to talk myself out of a job. That's enough.
Jeepers, Mr. J. I think we're ready for the final part of the cure, the catching game.
Okay, Jasper. There you see the letter people already in place in their clue boxes. Who is in the starting clue box?
Why, that's Mr. P in the starting clue box. His sound is the same sound that starts pointy patches.
Now, who's in the catching clue box?
Well, it's Ms. A in the catching clue box. Her short sound is the same sound that starts at you. Her long sound is the same as her name, A.
And who, yes, who is in the ending clue box? Remember the cure.
There's a missing person in the ending clue box. Let's forget the whole thing. Wait, I've got a good idea. Mr. G, would you please reappear? Fantastic.
It's great to be back.
It's wonderful to have you back, Mr. G. Would you please get into the ending clue box? Good. And now, officer, who is that outside the ending clue box?
It's Ms. E. She's making her silent sign. That means that Miss A will make her long sound.
And what sound will Mr. G make?
Whenever G stands in front of silent E, he makes his borrowed sound.
Letter people, make your sounds catch.
Page.
A piece of paper from a book.
Golly gee, I have a sound that goes with my name. Gee, thanks, Mr. J.
Oh, shucks.
Golly gee, Mr. G. Why don't you try touching that genius gem now?
Golly, I don't know if I should.
Oh, go ahead. Try it. Always before silent E, and sometimes before E and I.
I didn't disappear.
It's a good thing he didn't. I don't know if I can think of any more words.
Come and meet the letter people. Come and visit the family. Words are made of letter people. A, B, C, D, follow me.